Hey folks, my name is Akimley. I'm not really big on massive multiplayer games that are mostly PvP based unless they tend to have a twist. EFT or Rust or DayZ are some of the only PvP games that I play, or PvP based games that I play. But I will admit there is a point where I will just want to have my friends in a game only for it to be single player. Whether playing Just Cause 4 or playing a game that requires you to make your own server just to be able to play co-op, which is hard, and I just want to be able to start a server and not have a bunch of kids come up to me and start yelling racial slurs. Well, what if you could take one of my favorite series and make it multiplayer? Today we're going to irradiate ourselves to give ourselves superpowers, we're going to buy repair kits so we can use our guns, and then we're going to help a faction that shouldn't even exist. Today, we are talking about Fallout 76.
In the beginning, in the beginning, yeah, in.
Hey guys, it's Akimley. Just a quick little thing. I'm not going to try making a big deal out of this because it always pisses me off when YouTubers make a big deal about this, so I'll make it short. I have 0.8% of you guys subscribed. So that means 99.2% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. If you guys like this sort of content, please subscribe, hit the bell. Man, who knows, maybe you'll actually like what I do. I don't know. So, enjoy. To understand why the game is what it is, we have to go back to the very beginning. Fallout 76 was announced on May 30th, 2018. I remember whenever I heard of the game, I just immediately got on a Discord call to talk to my best friend so that I could hype about the game. Yo bro, I'm on a vacay and dude, I just saw that Fallout 76 trailer. I'm busy playing Hearts of Iron 4. Get the fuck. Dude, that crap looks so good. I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head. Also, did you think about how this will affect the lore? And also how they will introduce new characters? Also, I'm sorry for shooting you in the eye with a Nerf gun on purpose, and I hope in the future I can give you lots of money and love, kisses, mwah mwah. Thank you for that totally not fabricated conversation between me and my best friend, editor. Anyways, the amount of lore that could be explained in the game, not to mention the new factions we get to see because the main factions of the other games don't even exist yet, or are all the way on the other side of the country, where you would think so, really is exciting because it means that we get the Fallout setting, but basically a fresh start. Really just being in the Fallout universe with my friend was acceptable. If the story was not so great, I'd probably just kill things with people. There were plenty of good things about the game. Music that is a lot more famous was used in the game, which can be considered a good thing or a bad thing, because it does take away from the Fallout games bringing attention to music no one knows. Let's be honest, how many of you guys learned of Big Iron just from Fallout New Vegas? I'm not crapping on people who are just OG and love, I don't know, Barty Robbins, all that stuff. I think I said his name correctly. If you crucify me for that, I'm sorry. I don't listen to his music other than that one song. But I mean, really, how much of that music would you actually know if it wasn't for Fallout? And then there's new creatures, new weapons, and most importantly...
4 times the size.
No, Todd, that isn't it, you sexy bastard. I'm talking about the multiplayer. I was talking about it before, but who doesn't like the good old multiplayer experience, right? Screaming into your Xbox 360 mic while playing Minecraft, or a bunch of grown men throwing hands with a 12-year-old in Roblox. Really, this game can't be that bad, even if it has bugs and doesn't even have NPCs, as long as they just don't make it a battle royale. Because, I mean, I am so sick of battle royales. But, I mean, it's a Fallout game. No one would be stupid enough to do that. No. No, you wouldn't. Todd Howard, you son of a bitch! It's no surprise to anybody by now, but I might as well dunk on Fallout 76 because maybe you've been living in a Fallout shelter for 50 years, but spoiler, it wasn't great. When it released, it had about as much content as Pac-Man without the replayability, and also it made you want to crawl into a coffin and die. Release day was an atrocity. You see, Todd Howard, being the sexy idiot he is, decided to rush the game's production, and we all know that literally any time you rush something and don't stop and think about what you're doing, you end up with something that's not exactly on par with the competition. Plenty of games might have a bad release, but they eventually bounce back, like No Man's Sky or arguably Cyberpunk 2077. I haven't actually ever played that because I was so disappointed. But this game wasn't just buggy. No NPCs. There's raiders, cultists, and a bunch of animals to fight, but no NPCs. No one to talk to. Just you and a bunch of players. Whoever thought that was a good idea got fired. Or, well, Todd Howard can't fire himself. When this game was released, it was devastatingly bad. Not to mention, this game is fully online. Like, I wanted a multiplayer Fallout, like, that's the whole thing about it. But I was expecting that would be an addition, not the focus. Like, I know that's what they were saying, like, oh, we're all multiplayer, stuff like that. But I was expecting, like, I don't know, like a regular Fallout game. Like, I was expecting Fallout 4, but, like, they work into the story that there's another vault dweller who can, like, go with you on your travels, and then a regular story. Which, I mean, maybe that was nearsighted of me. Like, that might have just been me. I'm not completely crapping on the game. Maybe they were very obvious about that it wasn't going to be that. But that's sort of the vibes I was getting from Fallout 76 in the first place. Like, I wanted to have a regular Fallout game, but also be able to play with, like, one other person. Not to mention, they couldn't even get multiplayer right. PvP is possibly the lamest thing possible in Fallout 76. Even now, because you have to accept someone's request to fight you, or they have to attack your settlement, which has happened to me like twice, and I'm like level 207 on my Xbox account, which taking over a settlement is locked to level 5. And also PvP itself is locked to level 5, which, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense because you're just starting off. And I know this can be in, like, certain games where levels and, like, weapons, like, you can have a weapon and then because of your level you can't use it. I don't like it. Like, not my Fallout, man. Like, Fallout as a whole, like, whenever you would get something cool in, like, Fallout New Vegas, like, I remember I would be really early level and I would get a grenade rifle or something like that, and I'd just start popping off, just killing as many people as possible. But now you get a grenade launcher, or like a grenade rifle, it's locked to level 45 and you're level 10. It's really annoying, especially whenever you're, like, finding power armor, things like that, and you just can't do anything with it. Sure, in Fallout games before, you would want to level up to get better perks and all that, but the fact that you are limited from weapons at the very start just because of your level is stupid. I feel like the game should just make guns drop off of higher tiered weapons, which you can't really kill early on, and then weak guns could be found all around. It's kind of annoying, like, finding cool power armor only to have to wait until level 50 to use it. And I know, like, that's the grind, and, like, that's the sort of game this is. That's not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for this grind that I have to, like, pay microtransactions, like, to be cool. And, like, we already have enough games with the microtransactions in the grind. I'm a Fallout fan, and I just prefer being able to have everything I want at once. Not have to grind to level 50 and do all these crazy quests and stuff like that. I know some people prefer that, so that's just my opinion. I'm not going to add that as a thing that makes Fallout 76 bad, per se. It's just, it makes it kind of bad to me. Now, you can grind levels and things like that, but when this game first released, it was too laggy to do anything. And even if you could, farming EXP is just doing the same quest over and over again while having a bunch of effects that make you gain EXP faster. Again, plenty of games do this. It's weird coming from a Fallout game. I guess I probably should have saw that coming whenever I realized Fallout 76 was going to be multiplayer, and what Bethesda has done in the past with multiplayer games, Elder Scrolls Online. But it's just a lot different than what I was expecting. Like, I know I keep saying what I was expecting, and I guess what I was expecting was a bit of a pipe dream, because that was never going to happen in the first place. But, yeah. Not to mention this game has, like, so many microtransactions. Like, you could farm and try repairing your weapons, but you could also get some repair kits in the store, along with some cool stuff for your outpost, which literally helps you in the long run. Like, I remember there's like a Protectron that can give you materials to build your stuff by collecting scrap. So you pay money to get better things. Not to mention the fact that Fallout First, possibly one of the most annoying things possible, you have to pay to do private games and have a tent and have like this Fallout Ranger skin, like Fallout New Vegas Ranger skin, which shouldn't even be in the game because, God, it's something. Don't even get me started on Fallout First. I could do a whole small video on that. It's annoying as hell. But, like, I would be fine with the microtransactions because microtransactions already pester the gaming community, and that usually tends to be for free games, and usually never affects the gameplay, unless it's like a really bad free game. Like, for example, one free game I like to play is Unturned. Sure, it's really just like a ripoff of DayZ, and like, just blocky, but there's plenty of microtransactions you can buy. Or Rust. You can just change your boxes or your doors and things like that so they look more flashy, but it usually never affects the game, like, at all, except for like a couple things that are like add-ons, which people find a workaround for. Like, for example, the water gun you can spray a grenade with, and then it leaves it unactivated so you can use it with traps and stuff like that. But that's like an additional feature. That's like a DLC, sorta. I actually kind of like that. However, what they're doing in Fallout 76 is literally if you pay for microtransactions in a game which is not free, it actually costs $40, and it affects gameplay by letting you buy repair kits, and also lets you buy things that help you get resources in game. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to call that greedy, but that's greedy as hell. Screw you, Todd Howard. And even past the launch, we have a boring story with the most boring factions possible. Like, you literally just have them called the Settlers and the Raiders. Not saying there's not some unique characters in there. Like, some of them are kind of fun. There's like a super mutant who's friendly. There's a kid. There's like a guy with a suit. I don't know, man. I just get paid to fucking do this all day and just sit behind a computer screen and read a script off. Also, you sacrifice an ounce of unique factions to have a bunch of tin cans ask for your help so you can get the Brotherhood Plasma Sword. The game is just boring most of the time, and even when you have quests that are slightly good, you end up disappointed by one of the other horrible things in the game. Well, now that I've stated the obviously terrible stuff, it's time to move on to arguably the really controversial stuff. I guess it could be considered controversial stuff. Cue the transaction. Fuck. I'm not Todd Howard. I mean, cue... You know what I mean, man. Now, the nightmare I just described was release day, and a bit of what we have now. The confusion and the disappointment was legendary. I know I made a big deal of the Battle Royale, like that was my whole thing where I was yelling at Todd, but I mean, I don't really care. Like, if the Battle Royale was a big deal, then that would ruin the game, but because everyone would flock to it, then that would make the game just a Battle Royale and no one would actually want to play the regular Fallout 76. But no, that didn't happen. They shut it down eventually, so yeah, it happened. It was just a meme, if anything, and I don't even really care about it at this point. So yeah, it just exists, and it's just depression inside of my head that will always be there. Now, a really controversial opinion for a lot of Fallout fans, or I I'm not trying to say a lot of Fallout fans, because I remember in my Fallout 3 video where I said that it's an underrated masterpiece, a lot of people were arguing the fact that it wasn't really underrated. I mean to say, like, underrated as in the whole Fallout community as a whole. Like, people bullying Fallout 3. And it's the same thing with Fallout 76. I hear a lot of people saying Fallout 76 is horrible, stuff like that. Which, I mean, partially true, especially with the early game, stuff like that. It was just that. But it's okay. Like, in my honest to God opinion, it's aight. It's not so bad anytime I play it. I throw up because of the lag and also the previous problems I mentioned above. Like, they are still problems, but they either have been removed or they do affect what the game is like, but the overall game has improved. Now, in my opinion, Fallout 76 is good as its own thing, but as a part of Fallout, I feel it does not belong. The gameplay is a lot different than what is usual, not to mention the problems I listed, but the game on its own is okay. Just to give you an idea of what Fallout 76 does right, I will have to say world building. Sure, some factions annoy me, along with some places not making sense lore-wise, but overall this game is really pretty a lot of the time. Like, it has pretty good mountains, world building, stuff like that. And just to list off some things Fallout 76 does right, that would include, number one, a pretty big open world. Fallout 76 has a massive open world set in a post-apocalyptic landscape of West Virginia, which, I don't know if you've ever been to West Virginia. It's pretty there, and I'd say the game actually does represent, like, West Virginia's beauty. Like, especially with, like, the gorge and a couple other landmarks, stuff like that, along with just the beautiful mountains, things like that. We don't really see, like, this mountain terrain too much in the Fallout series. Like, think about it. Fallout 3, that was Washington, D.C., and there's not really too many mountains in, like, especially, like, the city area of Washington, D.C., and then Fallout New Vegas, we had some mountains, especially with, like, Jacobstown, stuff like that. But it was definitely not the whole thing. It was mostly desert there. Fallout 4, no. There is no mountains in Fallout 4. But Fallout 76 was unique in the fact that it had, like, mountains. It brought, like, seasons. It has, like, cool-looking trees. It has, like, beautiful, like, rivers, stuff like that. It actually looks appeasing, especially on, like, the higher fidelity and higher graphics. It can look pretty damn good. It's richly detailed, filled with diverse environments ranging from dense forests and the mountains, towns, like, so much stuff. Like, you can find your own miniature stories inside of this game. Like, some of my favorite places to build camp were, like, in, like, the bottom of this one tree that's, like, looks really pretty, or next to a ski resort where there was a cliff where I could overlook the game. Overall, graphics wise and like the prettiness of this game, I'd say it's top notch. Like, for a Fallout game, I'd say they delivered at least a little bit. They didn't really do too much with the engine. It's really just the Fallout 4 engine, but graphics wise, especially world building, they did pretty good. Cooperative gameplay, that's number 2. Fallout 76 is designed to be played with other players, which I was stating earlier, which allows for cooperative experiences and the chance to team up with friends or take on other online players. And this adds a social element to the game. I know I've been complaining about how like I wanted it to just be co-op, like single player, based off of like a pre-existing story like Fallout 4, but I will say it has like its own thing going on where like you can find like daily quests or like cool little things going on in the world which you can go join, which I like. Like, as much as I don't really care for like multiplayer as much, and I just prefer single player sort of stuff and messing around with like one or two other friends, I will say it's pretty cool, like fighting a giant winged demon with a bunch of boys in power armor while everyone is just using really overpowered weapons. Or just like nuking someone else and watching them scramble to move their base. And yeah, it's fun. Like, genuinely, even though I complain about it a lot, playing with these people can actually have an element of fun. I remember one of my longtime friends, who I'm not going to say by name because I don't even really know if he's alive by this point. He kind of ghosted me towards the end of our friendship, so I don't even know if he's alive. I remember I met him in this game. I didn't really have too many Xbox friends, and he ended up becoming one of my best friendships. You can meet some really cool people in this game. Like, you can literally just be starting this game, you might meet someone who'll give you some weapons, give you a head start, or you might meet someone new after playing for a while, and you might be able to make yourself a new friendship. Like, even going into this game by yourself without friends, you could come out with a couple friends, which I love, because there's a lot of stuff you could do with friends in this game, whether just roaming around the irradiated wasteland, just looting crap, killing things, or specifically going to locations to do quests, following a quest line. It can be so much fun just like calling out to like a friend or two, like taking out some like pretty aggressive enemies. Number 3, Fallout 76 has continuous updates and improvements. Bethesda has actually been actively supporting Fallout 76 with regular updates and patches, and these updates have addressed many of the technical issues and bugs that plagued the game during its launch, improving overall performance and stability. Like, there's also new content and stuff like that with varying levels of quality, in my opinion. Especially the Brotherhood of Steel kind of made me mad. And also they didn't do like too great with the story. Like, it's okay. It's not world class, like really good. It's never ever going to compete with like Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3. Like, even if you don't like Fallout 3's story, you have to admit that at least that's a little better than the Fallout 76 story, because it's literally two factions called the Raiders and the Settlers, like fighting over a vault to get like a bunch of gold. So, yeah, not that great. You can tell it was kind of rushed, or at least I hope it was rushed, because if they actually spent a lot of time on that story, in my opinion, it's kind of bad. Like, yeah, I don't like that story, especially if you spend a lot of time on that. The rip, that fucking sucks. Of course, there is the new stuff, like, being able to have, like, basically it's a battle pass. I don't even know what else to call it. Like, sure, this isn't really a battle royale at all, but if you actually go out of your way to do certain quests to get, like, points and whatever for the atomic shop, you can unlock a bunch of things on this board. It's hard to describe in a video, so I'll just show you a picture of it. And it's pretty cool. Like, admittedly, it's pretty cool to be able to earn that stuff without having to pay. Like, I know I made a big deal out of microtransactions. There's some redeeming qualities. Like, you can play this without spending any money and survive, get past everything. Like, it's not completely a roadblock, like, destroying any sense of being able to play the game. And one thing that's interesting that I imagine a lot of you, even if you're a Fallout 76 fan, might not know. Number 4, mod support. Bethesda has actually announced plans to introduce mod support for Fallout 76, which is similar to their previous titles, which I don't know if this is going to be like content creator, like where they have the Fallout 4, where it's literally just like paid mods, or it's going to just literally be able to mods, stuff like that, which props to Bethesda, because that's kind of hard to pull off, especially for like an online game. Like, a lot of the time, whenever it's something competitive or something like that, you especially will never see modding. But whenever you see an online game like this be able to support modding, they're definitely going to have to do something with that, whether it's going to be like a new world, something like that. Like, whenever you get into a game, you have 4 different options for whatever you get into the world. The default, like, Publix worlds is, like, adventure, and then you have, like, the community-driven world, and then you have the private world, which is Fallout First, which I still hate Fallout First. And this addition of mod support will probably make the game's lifespan a little better, because if I'm able to mod Fallout 76, I can just have a blast with my friends. Like, sure, I'm not going to enjoy Fallout 76 as a Fallout game, but I'm going to enjoy it as something else. Now, you might disagree with some of what I just said, but that's really what I see Fallout 76 does right. Fallout 76 is far from a perfect game, but at least it's something I can have fun with. Now, on to final thoughts.
What the hell was that? Spaceball 1. They've gone to plaid.
Fallout 76 is a game that is heavily flawed, as I have stated many times. It had a horrible release, and in my opinion, it isn't really a Fallout game, again, as I have said multiple times. Sure, we have the content of a Fallout game, but it's really weirdly stitched together. Like, the main story is finicky, especially like getting out of the vault. You like have to follow this loose storyline. There's a lot of fetch quests, stuff like that. But I feel like there's certain games that you could play that are just the fetch quests and stuff like that can still be fun if you have friends. And that's the main thing I'm saying about this. If you have friends or you're planning on getting friends inside of the game, then I recommend this game. If you're a die-hard Fallout fan who loves the lore, yeah, you might want to skip this one because it might piss you off. A lot of the lore in this game compared to everything else in the Fallout series makes about as much sense as the English language. Screw English, it's stupid. Don't quote me on that. With that said, if you want a game to mess around with and kill some things while looking at what is usually pretty good graphics, I do recommend this game. Definitely not for everyone, but I feel like this game has its niche. It is a little pricey in my opinion, but hey, just grab it on Steam sale or something with your friends. It's $40. There's an occasional like Steam sale where it can drop to like ridiculous prices, like $5 or something. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me, folks, and that's Kimley. I'll catch y'all later.